that, Sarah? That folder? Is it that folder? Because I can't see it on here. Good morning and welcome to the 15th International Annual ENT Masterclass. I hope you have a very useful and probably a tiring 3 days. And for those of you who've come to Doncaster for the first time, I hope you will enjoy your stay. My name's Shahid Quraishi. I'm one of the ENT consultants here in Doncaster. I've been here about 14, 15 years. And we at Doncaster launched this masterclass in 2005. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. I'm going to start off with a few housekeeping announcements. I'll start by doing it myself first. You've got to put your phones on silent, please. If your phone goes off, you don't get lunch. We are not expecting any fire alarms today. So if there is a fire alarm, without elbowing your colleagues, you want to get out from the fire exit here and one at the back and assemble in front of the hospital. For catering, you will see in the program we've got coffee breaks and lunch breaks, all of which is in the hall which is next door where you had your tea and coffee this morning. There's one important request. Please make sure that you wear your badges at all time and we can see it. For security and safety purposes, we want that. If you don't, we may ask you to leave. For certificates, the good news is you'll get the certificate via an email within 2 weeks of the course finishing. In case you haven't received it, please get back to us, because after a month, we won't have your record. Now, in order to get your certificate, it is essential that you sign in, and I hope you've done that this morning, and you sign out on Sunday when the course finishes, because we will be unable to provide you a certificate if you do not do that, because providing your CME certificate involves you attending the complete course. There will be some information about our other courses in due course. And some of you who have signed up for dinner, we'll hope to see you in the evening. I'm sorry to say we will not be adding anybody else. If you haven't signed up before, you won't be able to accommodate it because there are limited places. In your packs, you'll find this piece of paper, which is the trade passport. Now, we've got a very useful trade exhibition in the hall next door. Many of these companies have got new technology which you might want to see and use in your practice. The good news is that if you visit the stalls and get a signature on your trace passport, if you complete all the signatures, you will be entered into a free textbook draw. And you can see a whole list of books which will be part of the draw. And for those of you who may or may not know R.J. Lee, the past president of the American Academy, he's a great fan of the masterclass, and he's been so kind, he sent 3 of his textbooks for this draw. So that'll be part of it. And for those budding laryngologists, the ultimate prize is a 2-volume book on laser laryngology. So without further ado, I am first going to invite our chief executive, Mr. Richard Parker, who also has been a great supporter of ENT Masterclass, to say a few words of welcome on behalf of the Trust. Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Professor Quraishi. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As Professor Quraishi said, over the last few years, since I rejoined the Trust, I came back to Doncaster in 2013, having previously worked here much earlier in my career. And one of the reasons that I chose Doncaster was the attitude that the board at the time and the executive team and the staff had towards the development of education and training and research, and the strategy and the plan that they had at that time to become a teaching hospital in links with Sheffield University and Sheffield Hallam University. And we achieved that a couple of years ago, and obviously that was the start of a journey in terms of having achieved teaching hospital status. We had to develop and we had to increase the portfolio and the profile of the organisation in terms of the quality of those services. And so the work that Professor Quraishi had done over the previous 15 years, or 14 years as it was at that point, in terms of developing the masterclass from its origins here in Doncaster as training for local students and candidates, was a fantastic example of what can be done with the drive and enthusiasm of individuals growing to be an organisation, a team that spanned 4 continents and 16 countries. Last year it was a great pleasure for us to actually host the ENT Masterclass. Obviously it was at that point intended to be a couple of years because the college was being renovated. From our perspective, it's really great that that's been delayed and we have the opportunity to host the Masterclass for 3rd year, but I'm sure that most people in the audience will probably want to get back to the Royal College at some point, but the longer that takes, the better it is for our organisation. However, in the last year, for those who were here last year, you will have noticed that we've invested quite heavily in the technology, particularly in this lecture theatre, and hopefully that will work really well today. And I know that Professor Quraishi is going to talk a little bit about some of the developments that this has enabled us to do in terms of support of the programme. From my perspective, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you. As Professor said, I hope you have a great couple of days here with us. You'll have noticed today, if you've come through the city, that it's actually race day. So the traffic will be a bit heavy, I think, today and tonight. I'm glad it wasn't race day yesterday because we had a real period of black ice and we had lots and lots of people attending ED with fractures. I think some of the highest attendances we've had in a few years now. But hopefully today's weather, although it'll make the racecourse car park a little bit boggy, it will mean we don't have so many people who attend. So thank you very much for your time. For those of you who are attending tonight's meal, I think I'll see most of you there. And again, I think that will be a great night. So have a fantastic time and I hope it's very learning. I am staying for the first few lectures like I did last year because I learned quite a lot in that morning session and I'm hopeful that I will again today. So thank you very much. Welcome and have a great time.
ENT Masterclass. This is a bit like last year because I got a gift last year as well, so I did quite well coming through. So thank you very much. Right. Yeah, please. A little bit about ENT Masterclass itself. By show of hands, could you just raise your hands if you've been here before? So it's almost 30–40%, so quite a lot of new faces. So ENT Masterclass started, as Mr. Parker has just said, about 14–15 years ago, right in this place. And I can't see anybody in the crowd who was here in 2005, but if you were, this was a very small postgrad center. The capacity was 60, and the trust, the Doncaster Foundation Trust, put in a lot of funds to get this lovely postgrad center. And we thought that we would run this course with 3 essential criteria, that it would be a high-quality education, and we would keep it free. And we haven't looked back. So this course, the January Masterclass, is our flagship course. It's over 3 days. It's very heavily subscribed. And some of you who's booked, you know that, months before registrations closed. And even till last night, I've been getting registration requests. So much so, I had one gentleman who was boarding a plane without registration, and I had to unfortunately tell him not to come, because we have limited places, and it becomes very difficult if people are waiting for months to get into this course. So this January course is originally held at the Royal College of Surgeons, and because the Royal College of Surgeons is under renovation, we've moved back to Doncaster, but throughout the year we have many more courses of which I'll talk about. Now, to cope with the number of applicants, we thought we had to do something. So in 2010, with the help of the audiovisual department and the IT department of this trust, we started the live webcast of our courses. We were probably the first course in the country which did that. And for those who couldn't get the live webcast, they could watch it like an iPlayer the next day. So if you go on our website and you find webcast, you click on it, you might find the past few years' courses and lectures over there. And you're talking of several hundred lectures. Now, I'm very pleased to announce something today, and that is, today ENT Masterclass is launching its YouTube channel. We are the first surgical course in UK which is doing that. This talk, even my talk now, is going out live all over the world on YouTube, and it will be available as a recording. All the lectures will be available as a recording by the end of the day. So this is, again, to try and include those colleagues who can't be present here physically, and to help those colleagues who are in countries which are far away. Now, when we started that in 2010, some of my colleagues said that you do that and nobody will want to come here. And I don't know about you guys, but I like to watch cricket in the stadium. I don't like to watch it on telly. So I don't think it's made any difference to our attendances. As a matter of fact, it's just got more and more. So watch this, YouTube. In 2007, we, with the advice of our nursing colleagues, launched the ENT Nursing Masterclass, and till today, it still is the only ENT course run for nurses in UK. And we've put it back to back with tracheostomy. So on the Fridays, the Nursing Masterclass, and on the Saturdays, the tracheostomy. And in the tracheostomy, a lot of the ENT trainees also attend, and you're welcome to. And this course is absolutely free. There's no charge at all. And one little request for you is that when you go back to your units, could you please identify this nursing course to your nursing colleagues? It's a full day. There are lectures and practicals and workshops. It's very, very popular. We get nurses from Europe. We get nurses from Scotland. So if you want to direct your nurses towards our website for details, they'll be most welcome. We have now started nursing ENT masterclasses in Sydney, Australia. We've started ENT Nurses Masterclass in Beijing. In Beijing, it is so popular that every year we have to double the size of the hall. And in May this year, I'm told by Prof. Liu, who you will hear a bit later, that not only have we doubled the hall, the Nursing Masterclass in Beijing is over 2 days, because there is so much they want to know. We all, the senior colleagues in this room, would know that we are all swamped with appraisals and revalidations, etc., quite rightly. So there was a demand from consultants, because a lot of consultants were coming to the January Masterclass. So we decided that we should have a separate one for consultants, and it's a one-day course held in London. The last one was held at Charing Cross because the college was closed. We hold it officially in conjunction with ENT UK. It's open for all consultants and middle grades. And then, lo and behold, we had the GPs wanting a course. Now, as you know, the front line of medicine in the United Kingdom is the primary care. We whinge about things that the general practitioners do, but one has to appreciate that that is the most difficult part of the chain of the patient's pathway. So the general practitioners, their tutors in London approached us, and we, 4 years ago, launched the GP Masterclass. So if you've got any friends who are GPs, you could direct them, and this course is held every year. It is very, very popular. and all the places have always gone, and there's a waiting list. In summer, and this I will say to you, in summer we have a 3-day, 3 different one-day courses here, right in Doncaster, and that is completely free. And the first day is on ENT emergencies, day 2 is on thyroid and salivary gland, and day 3 is on ENT radiology. It's a very popular course. My advice to you would be, hopefully when you enjoy your 3 days here, when you go back, get yourself registered. The forms and applications and every detail is on our website, and it is filling up. So it's one of the courses you got to see. And here you can see this gentleman. He's the president of the World Thyroid Association. He came here to launch this course when he started it in 2008. And since then, it's just gone from strength to strength. So in 2008, we did something else which was very, very popular. And that was, in UK, we did not have a review journal. We've got clinical otolaryngology, we've got JLO. But we thought that we needed a journal, something's in the lines of Clinics of North America or Current Opinion. So with the help of my ex-boss, Professor Bradley, and Professor Narula, Professor Shaq Saeed, and others, we made an international editorial board, and this comes out as a yearbook, and anybody in this hall who's taking any form of ENT exam, you go to see it. It is absolutely free. There are copies on the desk for you to collect if you haven't got any copies. However, if you're in the high-tech zone, you can download all the journals as a Kindle document onto your computers. There is no password, there is no charge. Each textbook has approximately 25 chapters. So 10 have been published, and tomorrow the 11th edition will be launched by the chairman of the editorial board. The current chairman is Professor Hesham Saleh from Charing Cross. So it's a very useful resource. Now, ENT Masterclass tells you why to operate and when to operate in the form of lectures, but we don't tell you how to operate. So we had a lot of thought about that, and we could not afford running dissection courses for 2 reasons. 1, they're usually expensive, and 2, the number of delegates usually are very limited. So we thought of finding out a pragmatic solution, and we set up and launched in 2011 what we call the Cyber Textbook of Surgery. Now, I see 1 or 2 senior colleagues in the hall. You may remember 30 years ago, there used to be a textbook called Robin Smith. Basically, this was a textbook which was about this thick, and it had all operations, steps given in pen drawings. So you went through the steps by looking at those pen drawings. Now, what we've done is, this is now on its fourth edition. So you've got 450 ENT operations with English commentary on our website. And again, there is no password, there's no charge. You go on it, you click on it, and it's got different sections, head and neck, otology, etc. And you've got surgeries from surgeons from New Zealand to North America, Canada to Europe, India, you name it. And some important operations, we've got 3 or 4 versions of it so that you could appreciate the clinical culture of a neck dissection in India against a neck dissection in the United States against a neck dissection in New Zealand. So it's a very, very useful resource, especially for the junior trainees. If you want to go and watch a parotid with your boss tomorrow and you're not really sure what's going to happen, you might want to go on our website and just watch a parotid video, and you'll get a hang of what it is. We get nearly 1,000 hits a week from all over the world. Now, about 6 years ago, there was a very, very famous course in Glasgow, the audiology and balance course run by Professor George Browning. So 6 years ago, that course packed up. Professor Browning had retired, but I think when I did that course in 1989, over the last 25 years before it packed up, it was one of the most popular audiology courses in the country. So we felt there was a vacuum. So with the help of Richard Irving, that's him there, and Professor Peter Ray, Professor J.D. Bray, and Cordruta Newman, we set up the audiology and balance course right here. We hold it on alternate years. So this year it will not happen. The next audiology and balance course will be in spring 2020. There are usually only 45 places, and they are like booked yesterday. So if you visit our website, I don't think the forms are out yet, but as soon as the forms come, you need to set it up and apply. It's completely free. What we do is over 2 days, it's held here. We use all the rooms because we have lectures, we have practicals, we have workshops, and what we want is, we know you may not be a practicing audiological physician. We hope most of you will be surgeons, but we want you to have a level of knowledge which would be workable, that you're an ENT surgeon, but you know exactly what it means when the audiologist tells you that this bone conduction has this shadow or what. Or you're doing a VNG and what does it interpret. So it's a very important course, and it is very, very popular. So in 2014, I received an email from colleagues in Sydney. At the time, I didn't know anybody there, but the email basically asked that could they have a franchise of ENT Masterclass. Now, when you hear of franchise, you think of Burger King or McDonald's or something like that. And the Australians, and obviously they had heard of us, were very keen to have the course in Sydney. So I explained to them that we obviously don't have any tariff for getting the franchise, but we do have our 3 criterias: high quality and free. And so they agreed. And Professor Carsten Palme, who you will hear from him on Sunday, who's come all the way from Sydney for this masterclass, and Professor Farouk, who will also be here on Sunday, they run the course. We've last November had the 4th Australian Masterclass, and it's very, very popular. Also in that year, we felt that we need to have some sort of resource for the developing countries, because traveling is a big problem from parts of the world. So we set up the Academic Traveling Club. And in 2014, we started off with a visit to Mumbai and Delhi. And today, we'll have 140 people in this hall. We had 1,200 people attending the masterclass in Mumbai and Delhi. So the dynamics and the logistics is huge. We managed, it was very, very popular. And following that, the traveling club has been to South Africa. We go there alternate years. As a matter of fact, this year over the Easter weekend, and this is the amazing thing, the entire faculty is giving up their Easter with their families, and we are all flying to Cape Town to do, and this is a Pan-African masterclass. We have delegates from 9 countries who turn up, and Professor Johan Fagan, I don't know if you've heard from him, he's world famous head and neck surgeon, who's the host over there. The traveling club has also been to Saudi Arabia, and in 2 weeks' time, we are going to Bahrain, and the following week, we are going to Lahore in Pakistan. In December 17, the traveling club visited Pakistan, and Michael Ko is here, and he may recall it was a great show. We had 700 people in Karachi, and you can see the faculty enjoying a ride on top of a tourist bus. It was great fun, and we are hoping to go again in next month. In 2016, we had one of our biggest breaks, and that was ENT Masterclass China. Now, we're very honored that this year, the guest lecturer for ENT Masterclass 2019 is Professor Liu, the head and neck surgeon from Beijing. Professor Liu and his colleague, Professor Gong, are the 2 coordinators of the masterclass in China. And you believe me, that we entered the Forbidden Kingdom with great pride, and we were honored with the enthusiasm of the faculty over there and the delegates. And you are talking of numbers in hundreds. And China is almost as big as the United States, except they've got 4 times more population. And we had delegates from Inner Mongolia, from Central Asia, and it was a huge meeting. And this year, again, the meeting is taking place in May. We usually have it in May because the weather is very good in Beijing at that time of the year. And this year, I think it's on the 24th, 25th, and 26th. So what was happening was that in January, this masterclass, we were getting more and more delegates coming from Europe. In 2015, the single biggest city delegation was not from any city in UK. There were 18 delegates from Copenhagen. And then on top of that, there were many from Germany, Ireland, etc. So Professor Oliver Kashke, who you will meet later on today and tomorrow, who is a very senior professor of ENT in Berlin, stuck his neck out to have the masterclass in Berlin. And so the European Masterclass was born. The last European Masterclass was actually held in Lausanne in Switzerland. And we thought that after doing 2 in Berlin, we'll move to the different part of Europe. And I didn't know, but I found out after going to Lausanne that Lausanne is the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and across the lake is France. And we had so much interest from France that now the Swiss Masterclass from 2019 will be a standalone masterclass. You're most welcome to come. It will be held in November, I think the second weekend of November this year, again in Lausanne. But the European Masterclass will stay, and this year we are not doing it in Berlin, we are going to do it in Bucharest, Romania, because again, we've got a huge patch of Central and Eastern Europe. And Professor Zania, who's the chief of ENT in Romania, has kindly arranged for it to be held on the first weekend of September in Bucharest. And before I forget, one other important course we are going to have this year is Uzbekistan. I mean, we'll look at the map in a minute, but we are looking at gaps in the world map. And for those of you who may or may not know, Central Asia is twice the size of Europe. And, you know, for some reason, we don't engage. It's just like when we went to China. The engagement from English-speaking UK and Ireland was quite thin. So Uzbekistan, I mean, last week we found out with one of my colleagues from London, Fazluddin, who is facilitating, that the government of Uzbekistan has officially approved the course. And not because of us, but the Uzbek government has now waived the visas for British passport holders to visit the country. Now, this is what the website looks like. We have upgraded it just last month. All the links are here. Application forms should be somewhere. There it is. And you can see how many visits we get. It's very popular. There are loads of resources. According to your needs, please do visit it. We are also on social media, Facebook and Twitter. We usually use this for information, to update you about courses and any events that are taking place, but you can please visit and put your comments if you wish. So how does this all happen? Now, I will start by where you are. We have spent 15 years here in Doncaster, and the Doncaster team is the team which makes it happen. So we've got the trust management who support us. We've got the postgraduate center. The director of postgraduate at the moment is Dr. Alistair Strachan. He has been very enthusiastic over the last few years to keep the technology and all the other services. And there's a lot in the background that has to happen. We've got our colleagues, Neil and Sarah from Audiovisual, who make sure that everything runs properly. So that is one aspect without which we could never move. Then we have the team, which make the academic bit happen. And top of the list is the faculty. You may or may not know that we have about 250 consultants and professors from all over the world who volunteer their time, their resources. So when we have a course in Beijing, all the faculty who go to Beijing, they pay their own tickets. So if we have a meeting in Lausanne, everybody pays their own tickets. So it is very important, excuse me, to appreciate that there are some very, very senior and important faculty members who give their time and resources so that these things can happen. And on top of that, I'm sure all of you have received emails and confirmations and programs and all that. That is all done by volunteers. Even your badges. We get people who work with us, or even people who don't work with us, work elsewhere. They help us because we do not have permanent staff. And we have to keep the costs low so that we can run the course the way we run it. So over the last 15 years, if we look at the what sort of costs we've provided, we've now provided nearly 10 million pounds worth of ENT resources all over the world. And this is through 16 annual courses that we run. And in these 16 courses, we have 2,500 delegate places every year. And on top of that, we have nearly 65,000 surgeons who visit our website and use the resources electronically. This is what the ENT Masterclass map looks like. So Bahrain and Uzbekistan are going to, and Bucharest are the 3 countries which are going to be added this year. The big missing link is North America. So we are negotiating with Donald Trump, and hopefully when the wall comes down, we'll go. But on a serious note, we are negotiating with Houston, the Bailey School of Medicine, and with Mass General Hospital. I don't know if you know Gregory Randolph, who's the past president of the American Academy. The thing which the Americans can't get around their head is, how do you do it free? So they want to charge $1,000, and that's where we are stuck. We don't want to charge. And hopefully, I am sure very soon you'll hear of the course in the United States. So that's it, and I think we'll get on with the course. Thank you very much.